Water is a very basic requirement of life and essential for all aspects. Of late, water pollution has turned out to be a serious ecological threat to the entire world. Therefore, today's class is on water pollution. In simple words, contamination of water bodies means water pollution. When physical, chemical, biological, or radioactive matter enters into fresh or ocean waters, it degrades the quality of water. The aquatic life and marine plants and animals are the worst affected by water pollution. Chemical toxins find their way into water due to natural reasons like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunamis. These are active only for a while, then the mud, the sand or silt, whatever is there, it settles down, leaving water as clean as it was before. But there are man-made causes like industrial waste, agricultural waste, sewage and domestic waste, oil spills, radioactive waste, as well as thermal heat generated by industries. And these kinds of pollutions are much more harmful. All the man-made pollutions are very devastating for water and the aquatic life within. So the causes of water pollution, which are all man-made, are industrial, agricultural, domestic and household, oil spills, thermal pollution, radioactive material, as well as plastic pollution. Now, industries are one of the most prominent reasons of water pollution. In early days, human beings used to make everything for themselves. If they wanted utensils, they would make them. If they wanted clothes, they would make them in their homes itself. Okay, all the food crops, everything was grown by them. So, waste and pollution was under control and manageable. Nature could easily, recover. But then industrialization happened. There were too many people, so they had to grow more things. They had to produce more clothes, more utensils, and so on. Okay, more building materials. And because of this, a lot of pollution started happening. Pollution increased many folds. Dirty water coming from various industries get discharged into the rivers and then it goes to the oceans and seas. This causes threat to the aquatic life and human health as well. So we had a case study in Japan in a place called the Minamata Bay. Here there are many industries. So all the industries were polluting the water and there was a lot of mercury also being thrown into the water. The fish were ingesting this mercury and as a result of which the water animals as well as human beings who were eating up the water animals, they all started dying and becoming severely ill. In the agricultural sector, children, we have a lot of pollution too. After independence of India, all our leaders decided that India should be free from famine, right? So they kept growing of crops and cultivation as their highest aim. This was very essential because India is a vast country with a huge population, okay? And so there was too less land, they needed to have more production. This was called the Green Revolution. This Green Revolution in India witnessed the increasing use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides and insecticides in agriculture. The water from the agricultural fields finds its way into rivers and causes damage to aquatic life, and eventually this also enters the human body through the food chain. Every day, children, we use water for numerous activities like washing clothes, taking bath, brushing your teeth, watering plants, cleaning the floor, cooking food, and so many other activities. This generates large amount of domestic water waste every day. This water now contains both soluble and non-soluble waste. Soluble means which can be dissolved in water, and non-soluble is which cannot be dissolved in water. Soaps and chemicals mixed in water make it rich in chemical and poor in oxygen. Water which comes through the sewage pipes and the drains is usually discharged into the flowing rivers. So they all create problems to the water animals. They decrease the oxygen in the water, the BOD or the biological oxygen demand of water. And this water is not useful for anything at all. Okay, it's very, very dirty. Oil spills do not occur on a regular basis, but when such accidents happen, they cause long-term damage to the environment by polluting ocean waters and killing different forms of marine life. How does that happen? We have offshore, that means in the big water bodies like the oceans and seas, we have oil wells. Okay, we have on land also, but majority of them are in the oceans and the water of the world. So this oil that is taken from the seabed is crude oil. It is not refined, it is raw oil. So they are taken out of the oil wells and they are taken by tankers and distributed throughout the world. Okay. Sometimes the tankers leak, or there may be an explosion in the oil wells. Okay. So this all the oil may get spilled on the ocean. This penetrates the plumage of birds and the fur of mammals. And because now all their fur and feathers have stuck together and they cannot, they cannot fluff them up if it is too cold and trap in the air, or they cannot depress it and become sleek so that they can become cooler. It makes them very, very vulnerable to temperature changes, and many birds and animals die because they cannot control their body temperature and according to the surroundings. Of course, the oil also enters their nostrils and their mouth, so they are unable to smell for food. They are unable to protect their families. And some of them also ingest it. That means they take it in and they die. Because of the oil spills, it provides a layer on top of the water, so there is less air circulation. Oxygen cannot penetrate into the water and the air quality of the water degenerates. When warm or hot water is released into the streams and rivers by nuclear power plants and certain industries, then the temperature of the natural water body like the seas, rivers and oceans increases. When this happens, then the plant and animal life cannot adjust to the increase in temperature and thus they die. Radioactive material is used in nuclear power plants, industries, medical industries and other scientific processes also use radioactive materials. But people may not be disposing of this properly. So when they are not properly disposed of, they pollute water. And these radioactive waste can have very damaging consequences. Okay, a lot of plant and animal life are seriously affected and changed, which lead to their death and to their destruction. And of course, plastic pollution. For this, children, please refer to the oceans in our first set of water bodies. In Pacific Ocean, we had a great garbage patch. Very much in the same way, in the Atlantic and Indian Ocean also, we have great garbage patches because these areas are hugely populated. This is extremely harmful for both plants and animal life. Okay, this concentration of plastic bottles, pelagic plastic, chemical sludge is very, very high, and it has affected the marine life very badly. Water birds, fishes, other marine animals, they die after eating all this. So what can we do about it? First thing is, we can clean up or filter the water before throwing them into rivers or seas. All the laws related to water pollution should be strictly followed. You should not be, oh, let it be. You should always follow the laws and rules. All the harmful chemicals should be properly treated so that they are not harmful anymore before being put into water bodies. That brings us to the end of our chapter. Please complete your work and get back to me in case you have not understood anything. Thank you and stay safe.